Welcome everyone to a new Talking Insomnia episode in which we have a guest, David. David, welcome.
Hey, good to be here, Daniel.
All right. So as we were just talking about me and David, we tried connecting a few times, but finally made it happen. So just go ahead, David, and ask me all the questions you have.
I was on your site for a moment earlier today, and I was reading about, kind of retraining the brain and trying to, like building sleep drive. These are all things that I've been trying, and it's been working. I've been having spotty results, but still better than what I had before, because I've been dealing with insomnia maybe 5 years now. It's been a while. And it's a long time. I remember I used to be able to sleep. Like I'd go to sleep at like 5 a.m. if I wanted, and then I'd wake up at like 1 in the afternoon, and then I could go sleep again if I wanted to. Like it was just, I slept so much, and you really take that for granted when you can't do it anymore. And it seemed like 5 years now. It seems like a lifetime ago. But definitely certain nights are better than others. But I've never been able to get anywhere close to how the quality of sleep and the duration of sleep that I used to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't. Well,
no,
yeah, I'll let you.
No, I was just gonna say, what do you remember? Like, was there anything particular that started it off, or why do you think you started having trouble sleeping?
It's kind of embarrassing. This is my main theory. It's really embarrassing though.
Okay.
So, well, when I was younger, I was just kind of. I'm gonna I don't want to use any profanity. I was just a bum kid. I just kind of just partied and just did whatever. I never had any responsibilities. I never 17, 18. I didn't care about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was always there to, a single mom. I'm an only child. She was always there for me. She worked all the time, and I always I didn't even get a job till I was 18. I didn't go to college till I was 21. I always felt like I was always behind because I just wanted to. Man, this is rough. But then my mom moved halfway across the country, away. So I had to do everything for myself, and I had this small apartment that I had to work 40 hours a week. I was a host at this restaurant in town at the time.
Yeah.
And I was also working at this fast food place, cash registering, working the register. And I don't know, I think that's when it started, I believe. I feel like it was the an entire weight of adulthood, all at once, being kind of not babied, but definitely, never having to have any responsibilities, have to take accountability. And now I've got all this. And it started then. I couldn't sleep really well. And of course, my first, because I used to take melatonin before I slept anyway. When I was sleeping well, I would always take melatonin before I went to bed, and it'd be fine. But then I started taking more and more, and don't do that. Don't do that. And then I started taking all the over-the-counter sleep aids, and none of that worked. It would just put me in this dull, I don't know, sleep aids. They kind of, it's this very light sleep, and it's not really, I feel like I'm really sleeping. I wake up still tired, and I'll just toss and turn a lot, and it was just a lot. And then I went through a period where I was drinking all the time to try to get myself to sleep. Also really dumb. For 3 years when I was battling insomnia at first, before I was really doing proper research on it and learning about CBTI and all these other techniques, I was doing everything, all the dumb stuff. I was doing all of that first. So I was drinking a lot. I was trying to smoke a lot of weed. I was trying to, do sleep aids, and I don't know, I would take Xanax sometimes. I would take, just dumb stuff that I was super, super counterproductive. And now the past year or so, I finally really got on track on what I should be doing, and it's still not. But I feel almost 5 years, that's like, you know, they say it takes, how long does it take to form a habit versus breaking a habit? You know, it's like 5 years of like bad practices that I have to like unlearn. You know what I mean? That I have to like it
Mm-hmm.
took like, you know what I mean? Like 5 years of not being able to sleep well. Like, how long is it going to be to like reverse all that damage to where I can sleep how I used to, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. It can take a while, but it's also like definitely not the case that, okay, if you have trouble sleeping for 5 years, it's going to take you 5 years to sleep well again. Not at all. Like it
Okay.
typically takes some weeks, weeks or a few months. But yeah, that said, so when you started coming across, like you read about CBTI and other things like that, like what changes did you do, and how did it change anything?
Well, I started, first thing I did, I was like trying not to like drink any caffeine anymore. I was like, I don't need caffeine, which I'm ADD already. It's like caffeine isn't the best for me just in general. And, you know, I was reading a lot about stress hormones and like cortisol and, you know, really being stressed all the time, and how you have this like hyper arousal and it can keep you awake when you're trying to sleep, and you want to try to regulate. I've been trying to wake up around like 8:30, 9 a.m. every day now, 8:30, 9 a.m. every day now. And I've been trying to like go to bed like 1, 2, maybe 3 a.m. It's just rough too to get like a set time to sleep, because I'm a server at a steakhouse. It's a really nice steakhouse. And sometimes, you know, I'll get cut at like 9 p.m. and that'll be nice. But then sometimes I'm closing and I'm there till like 12, 1 a.m. because it's a lot of work I got to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
and I bought a red light. I've been trying to like get like, you know, like wind down like at the end of the night, you know, where I don't want to like be out just what I used to do. And I've been trying to just be more calm and eliminate blue lights and just kind of like get comfortable on the couch. And it's actually been nice for the past couple, I'll say the last week or two. Sometimes I'll fall asleep on the couch for a couple hours, and then I'll try to go sleep on my bed. And sometimes I'll be able to sleep another hour or two in my bed as well. So I might be getting like 5 hours like total now, which is, you know, like, and it's like deeper now. I'm still not dreaming really. So I know dreams are usually a telltale sign. If you're like really in good, you know, REM, you know, you'll probably have dream stuff. I really haven't been having any dreams yet, but I feel like it's still better than what I was used to even 4 months ago, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good. Well done on that front. Well done, David.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, Daniel. You're the expert. I want you to enlighten me. I have nothing to contribute.
Not at all. I think, so far, like everything you said has been really helpful in terms of like and going back to you and sharing my thoughts. So I just have like maybe one more question, which is, you said, when you're closing late and you get home late, then I understand you kind of like it takes a while to wind down, but other times, let's say it's a night where you get off at 9 p.m. Then what typically happens?
Sometimes I'll smoke with my friends. Am I allowed to say that on this podcast?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
just
sure.
edit me out. I mean, only in a state where it's legal, of course. So I sometimes I'll hang out with my friends. I really don't drink anymore because I know drinking can really, you know, it can be counterproductive a lot to just your melatonin production. And I mean, I don't know all the science behind it, but like alcohol is, you know, not really good for your sleep. So I haven't really drank much anymore. So sometimes I'll like just hang out with my coworkers for a little bit, and then I'll go home and I'll just have some food, and then I'll just hang out, or I might watch like some videos online, or I might watch a show, and then I'll just hang out and relax on the couch. And then when I feel really tired, like I can't hold my eyes open any longer, then I'll go into the bed, and usually like I can fall asleep. My only problem is I wish, like, even when I feel like I do everything right, I feel like it's still not, it might be half of what it used to be, you know? Because like I just remember when I was 17, 18, I could just sleep. I could just sleep all the time. And I know I shouldn't, you know, your duration of sleep that you need decreases as you get older usually, or, you know, that can change. You might just need 7 hours or 8 hours, but I would like 7 or 8 hours. You know, I would like deep, restful sleep where I feel really, really refreshed. You know, my skin is really pale now because, you know, I don't sleep that well. It's hard for me to, like, I'm a skinny guy. It's hard for me to like put on a lot of muscle because I'm like when I eat and like work out, I'm not fully recovering my body, you know, and because I'm not getting the deep sleep that's required for that. Am I making? Have you
Yep.
heard about this?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
this like,
I'm taking some notes here, and there's a lot of important things to talk about. And okay, I guess one more question is, do you feel it's any different on like days or slash nights when you're not working versus when you're working?
it can be. Not to say like there. I mean, it really. There's definitely been nights where I've come home late and been able to sleep, especially particularly if I did not sleep well the night before. Sometimes I'll sleep better the following night.
Yeah, exactly.
It all depends. I mean, obviously, I'm rising junior in school right now, so I have 2 years of college left, and hopefully, you know, I won't have to, you know, work at a steakhouse on the beach till 2 a.m. anymore. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But also I would like to, I feel like I'm losing my adolescence to it. Not my adolescence, but some of my younger young adult years. I feel like I'm losing them a little bit because my insomnia started when I was 19. So I remember like 2021, you know, 22, my friends, I'm 24 now, and my friends would want to go out to the bars and stuff. And I'd say like a good 3/4 of the time, like I didn't want to go out with them. Like I would go out with them once in a while, you know, like if there was like a big game on, or if there was, you know, it was like one of my friends' birthdays, or was a special occasion, I would go out. But otherwise, I'm like, man, if I go out and drink with my friends, like I'm not going to sleep. There's no way I'm going to have a good night's rest tonight. Like I'm going to get back at like 4 a.m. and I'm going to be drunk at 4 a.m. and I'm going to pass out for like an hour. And then I'm going to wake up to like extremely hungover. And it's just like, and I miss that though. Like I miss when I was like 18 and I would just like drink beers with my friends and like have fun and just hang out with my friends. And I never had to worry about would I sleep well the next day. You know, I knew I would sleep well. It was just like, it was a given, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just it's very sobering thought, no pun intended. It's very like,
right.
It's rough.
Yeah, I totally hear, David. And okay, let's see. So let's go over like your story. And there's so many ways to describe, you know, insomnia or trouble sleeping. You know, I usually one way I like to talk about it is how like your brain has started thinking that lack of sleep is a threat, and it's kind of using fight or flight to escape the threat. That's one
Right.
way. Another way to think of it is like this like kind of academic way, the 3P model, etc. But I think let's do this. I think this will be helpful. We'll think about it from a control perspective. And so it's when you've slept well, and then for some reason you start not sleeping well, then it often appears that you've kind of like you've lost something. You've lost a skill that you had, an ability you had. You lost control that you had in the past. And you know, why it originally starts is I think you're absolutely 100% correct. Like there's no and by the way, I forgot to do my general disclaimer, so I'll put it in here. Like for you, David, or anyone that's tuning in, nothing here is medical advice, just, you know, me sharing my general thoughts.
Right.
So yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. Like you had no problem sleeping. You didn't even think about sleep. And then you had to live on your own. All these responsibilities happened. There was stress. You started having trouble sleeping. Very, very common story. Nothing unusual or strange about that one. But what happens in that moment is that you're like, whoa, I've lost this ability I used to have. I'm unable to sleep now. I think I wrote down, you said, I used to be able to sleep. And that's exactly what it feels like. And then you start doing what you call the quote unquote dumb stuff. Like you're trying like to take a lot of melatonin, alcohol, like smoke weed, etc. And all those things are basically an attempt to like regain some control, right?
Right.
And Now, the thing here is that the heart of this whole thing is that sleep is passive. It's completely passive. Like, it's good sleep only happens when you're like not trying anything at all, you know? Um, you're not you're not striving for control, etc. And that's why you ended up in this classic spiral of like, you try melatonin, doesn't seem to give you any more control. You want control, you try alcohol, doesn't give you more control. Like, you're searching for control. You're trying to
Right.
find control again. But the more you try, the less well you sleep. So then, you know, you got to a point where you heard about CBTI, you heard about other things, and then you were like, okay, let me make some changes. And that, I think that was good. I think you have made progress, but still, like, the things you were doing were like, okay, I'm gonna stop drinking coffee. I'm gonna cut down on alcohol because it messes with my melatonin, and I'm
Well,
gonna.
I know. I just feel bad. I know I don't sleep well when I drink, and I've been trying to. Like, I picked up boxing. I'm just looking for outlets to kind of like tire myself out, and
Mhm.
also, you know, I want to. Also, like, I would just love to pick up boxing just in general. I've picked it up just the past couple weeks. Like, I've started a coworker of mine does it in Pensacola, and he has just been kind of teaching me some stuff. And it's just like also just the idea of just learning a new skill, you know, picking up a new skill. But I mean, and I've been trying to like meditate more and just like be calm and really do well and just trying to relax my mind and try to not have these racing thoughts all the time. And like, these are all things that I feel like would be productive. And I don't know, it's just like super deep rooted, I guess. Like, my conscience is just super deep rooted, that this idea that I'll never be able to sleep. And even when I do sleep, there was a little while I was taking magnesium for a while, and I was actually getting dreams while I was taking magnesium, and I was doing really well, and I was sleeping a lot better, like taking magnesium. And then it just it stopped working. Like, it lost a little bit of its effectiveness more so over time. And I'm just like, I know, like, I've heard watched some of your videos before where you talk about, you know, you're you're putting the pressure of being able to sleep well, you're putting it on this pedestal of this pill or this supplement or whatever you're taking. And I don't want to do that either. It's just like, it's just so hard to get into. Man, I just feel hopeless, Daniel, I'll be honest.
I totally hear, David. And you know, a couple of things on that note is that's the most common thing I hear people say. Like, things feel hopeless, and basically the things feel hopeless because insomnia is so tricky. It's like, you know, when you do things that are even like seem to be like, this seems to be a good idea, then actually you're trying to gain control and you're trying to sleep more and you sleep less, and then you end up feeling like it's hopeless. Like, nothing I do works. But the basic point, the basic thing, the basic insight is, it doesn't work because you're trying to make it work, you know? Like, you know, I think boxing is great and meditation is great, but I think there is even if you say, you know, you share that you want to learn boxing, fantastic, that's great. But I think there is a component that you're kind of hoping that this will lead you to sleeping better.
Well, I do know I believe it is a real science behind like reducing your cortisol and reducing your stress and like trying to get out of this state of adrenal fatigue, you know? Like, do you put any stock into any of that? Do you feel like definitely like shot adrenal glands, and, you know, if you have like a lot of cortisol and you're really stressed out, it will be a lot more difficult for you to really get a deep, long night's sleep? Do you believe that?
My personal belief, not at all. I don't think so at all. Here's my thinking is that, you know, what really influences our sleep is just two things. It is how sleepy we are, how much we need to sleep, and how hyper aroused we are, how kind of nervous, stressed, preoccupied, worried, puzzled, etc. we are. Those are the only things that matter. Like, if you're really sleepy and you're not worried at all, you'll sleep fantastic, you know? On the other hand, if you're sleepy but you're also kind of a little bit worried, etc., you'll have this choppy insomnia type sleep. But, you know, does cortisol levels have absolutely zero impact on our sleep? I don't think that's
Are
true.
you sure?
Was that no? That's kind of a question. Like, do they have zero impact? I think they have some impact. you know, maybe if your cortisol levels are at this level, or your adrenal glands function at this level or whatever, that will impact your sleep. You know, you'll sleep 5 minutes more or 5 minutes less. And it's same thing with everything. Like, you know, people ask about your dietary choices, or light exposure, sound, you know, levels, what they do, activity, light exposure, all those things. You know, all those things probably impact your sleep like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 minutes, whatever. But do they really cause like insomnia? Absolutely not. The only thing that causes insomnia is when you're like trying to sleep, you're trying to control it, you're trying to escape sleeplessness.
Well, what are the success stories that you have heard? Have people, you know, been able to? I just want to get back to like taking a nap if I want, you know, just being able to like go and sleep on the couch and like actually, because I'll take naps now because I'll just be so exhausted, and it's not even a real nap. Like I don't feel like I even really slept like when I take a nap, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any way where, I mean, yeah, just like any positive, you know, any positivity of anyone that's it's worked for them, where they've been able to sleep better and they've been able to, you know, I want to be able to sleep when I want. I don't want to have to like live the rest of my life where I have to like wake up at the same time every day, and I have to worry about not being able to go out and drink with my friends till 4 a.m. if I want to. You know, this is like things I don't want to have to worry about anymore. Have you had people overcome this state of insomnia completely? Have you had clients that have done this?
You know, David, I would put it the other way. There is nobody that I ever worked with that has not gone on to sleep better. You know, it's the complete opposite. It's like, it's not complicated at all, to be honest with you. It's just that, um, you know, you're often looking for like this kind of this particular insight, or this particular thing that will really make a change, and that doesn't exist. That does not
Right,
exist. But
right,
if somebody says, okay, I'm ready, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to really learn, and I'm going to really apply this, you're going to sleep great. I really think of it as like weight loss, that if somebody wants to lose weight and they eat less and they exercise more, they're gonna lose weight, guaranteed. Like there's no question about it. It's 100%. It's the same thing with
right.
insomnia. It's not complicated. It's just like when you start just learning and making some habit change, etc., you're gonna sleep better. I think I've never come across anybody who's not done better that has done that.
Well, so these are like your clients, people that you've spoken to and given these techniques to. Do you like what's the difference between sleeping? I mean, sleeping better is a vague term though. Like they can go from 2 hours to 4 hours and they're sleeping better, but are they like sleeping that great still? You know, I want to be able to sleep. Like I'm fine with not having like the 10 hours that I used to have when I was younger, but like I would still like not nice like 8 hours of like deep refreshing sleep where I really feel well rested. You know what I mean? Do you think that's very possible for me? That's very achievable. That's something I could really do for the rest of my life if I wanted.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I have there's on the channel here, there's on every new episode you'll see, like in the description, there's a playlist called success stories. In those success stories are mainly from people that I've not worked with as a client. They're just from that I've just listened to my videos and that I've, you know, answered questions about. So, and many of them are sleeping great. But here's the thing, like when I say sleeping well, I really mean that somebody no longer struggles with sleep, no longer worries about sleep, no longer thinks about sleep. That's like the goal, you know?
Right, for sure.
And I think everyone gets there. Really, everyone will get there that just are willing to do some work. But um, and what is, yeah? So it's really just about education, to be honest with you. And what was I going to say here? Yeah, I think you know, it's here's the thing. Like, it would be very easy to say, why don't you just do things just like you did? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
like just go out, hang out with your friends. Don't be afraid of losing sleep. Just go out and do whatever you want in life. Like, don't let insomnia stop you. The problem is that it may be hard for you to do that because you have not completely like understood insomnia. So even if you're like, okay, I'm going
Okay.
to go out and have a good time with my friends, then at the back of your mind, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And then you go home and then you're super worried and you sleep even less. And you're like, oh no, I shouldn't have gone out with my friends, etc. So that's why I always talk about like how education, like truly understanding why you had trouble sleeping is the foundation. And when you understand that, then you can really make progress. Then like when there's no question in your mind about why you have trouble sleeping, when it's like, okay, now I completely get it. I completely understand that it was my desire to sleep that caused all this problem sleeping. When you understand that, it was not the my neurotransmitters, it was not the selenium, it was not the magnesium, it was not this, it was just my own thought process. That was it. Then you're ready to just completely let go of it and sleep well forever.
Do you think, yeah, because I think about that too. I think about people, I'm trying all these ways to, I've been trying to eat more fruit and eat healthier lately just as a good principle, because I definitely do want to start running and being more active. And, I've been kind of cooped up in the house for years now, just not being nearly as active. I used to run cross country in high school, and I'm just not nearly as active as I used to be. And I just eat a lot of junk. And, I would definitely like to just start eating healthier just as a principle in general, like a part completely separate from, how well I'll be sleeping. But Sensei, what are these tactics? What are the cheat codes? How should I change my way of thinking? What are things that I can do now that you think will benefit me? I trust your knowledge.
I think, okay, a couple of things. I think one thing is to just really listen to like all the videos that are on my channel. Like just really listen and try to like find reasons why you are in an exact same spot as everybody else. Like just listen and try to find like, yes, this has the same problem I do. This is the same thing I do. And listen to the success stories and try to put yourself in the shoe of the one who wrote the success story and feel like, yep, this person is going through the same thing that I do. Yep, this person learned, stopped worrying, etc. And now is sleeping well. That's great. I want to recommend, a great book by Sasha Stevens. That's kind of my go-to book for people who have trouble sleeping. It's called The Effortless Sleep Method.
The Effortless Sleep Method?
Yep.
Okay.
That was really good. And I can't help but also sneak in I just published a book myself called Set
I
It
did. I heard that. I'm gonna get it, Daniel.
Yeah, I think it's also very good. Obviously.
I also think the book I wrote is also not too bad. I agree. It seems good, and I do feel like you're very knowledgeable, because I don't want people to, I see people that have beaten insomnia and like, be like, oh, I just take like there are success stories also. People are like, oh, I just took a lot of CBD oil now. I started like eating healthier, or I started just really like taking care of my body and trying to get
The thing with that is that all depends on intent. So if somebody, but there's also vulnerability here, meaning if somebody said, okay, I just started taking some CBD and now I'm actually sleeping great. Well, what they've done is that they're still thinking deep down that they can't sleep on their own, but that the CBD is making them sleep. And it may appear like that's all right. They're sleeping good, no problem, right? But guess what? It is not going to last, because.
But do you think CBD oil is actually, because like I've researched it a lot, and like scientifically, like what's going on in the brain when it's in your bloodstream? I don't know. It seems like it's working, but do you think it's just all placebo? I think it's like actually is helping. I had a friend, Jacob, who's been taking it, and it's been helping him a lot too. I don't know.
I think it's just like, okay, let's say alcohol, right? We all know that if we have a glass of wine, it typically does make us feel kind of a little bit relaxed, right?
Right.
It does that to our brains. But if somebody has a glass of wine at dinner time because they're enjoying their food, they have some wine, they feel relaxed, they sleep good, that's perfect. There's absolutely zero problem there. But on the flip side, if somebody's like, I can't sleep, I'm going to have some wine. I'm going to have some wine so I can sleep. you can see how that's a slippery slope,
Right.
right? Because if they're like, oh, that didn't work, I need to have more. No, I need even more. That's no good. And everybody like your friend Jacob, etc. Maybe he didn't have that much trouble sleeping to begin with, and he just takes some CBD and he's like, okay, that's great or whatever. But if somebody really struggles with sleep and they start taking like CBD or drink wine or take a medication or a supplement or whatever it is, they still believe at the core that they cannot sleep on their own. And then when there is some kind of stress or something's unusual, something happens and you don't sleep, even though you're taking the CBD, then you're in an even worse place because you're like, oh my gosh, the CBD stopped working. I
Right.
try something else,
Right. Maybe, yeah, I definitely notice sometimes too when I have, like, even 2 weeks ago, I had a date the following day, and I knew, I don't know, I was just like nervous about that, and I slept like none at all, none at all, and it's just like certain things like that. Well, what do you think? How should I go about changing my way of thinking? How should I change my thought process and what I'm thinking of before I go to sleep every night, and how I'm thinking throughout the day? Should I start a sleep journal and see, how my thoughts are, and get all this pent up frustrations out, or get these ideas? Like, what would you recommend? What can help me, to really kick insomnia for good and not have to worry about, getting 8 hours every night?
Well, I want to put it this way. I mean, your question is basically like, what can I do so I can sleep better? And the answer is like, whenever you're looking for something that will make you sleep better, you will continue not sleeping well. I know it's kind of hard to swallow this one, but it is so true that if you read a book and you're like, oh my, I hope this book will make me sleep better, that's you've created what's called a sleep effort. You're trying to sleep. If you go through a course and you're like, I hope this course will make me sleep better, you create another sleep effort. It is all about, I have to let go.
I need an effortless sleep, Daniel. Do you know
That's
anything like?
it.
Do you know any books like that?
Yes, I do.
You
Yes,
recommend me something?
that's the one. I actually love that title. She just nailed that title, the effortless sleep method. But so again, like my teaching is, I'm going to say two things. My general teaching is this one, and that's why I called my book Set It and Forget It, is that I think the first thing you have to do is understand everything and understand that there's nothing unusual with me. There's nothing wrong with me. I just have gotten this habit of thinking in a certain way about sleep, but nothing is actually wrong with me. When you understand that fully, then you can like do the forget it part. You can be like, okay, I understand it. And now I'm going to enjoy boxing, and I'm going to enjoy running or eating healthy. I'm just going to enjoy life and forget about this whole thing. That works great. And then the other thing is, if I had to like, okay, say it in like one sentence, like, how should I sleep better? Weirdly, it's like this, which by the way, I learned this from Nick Wignall, a psychologist friend of mine. He said, you have to be willing to have insomnia. And that kind of sounds crazy, but it is like when you're resisting it, when you're like, I want to sleep better, I can't have another sleepless night, I gotta find, then you are on the path to more insomnia. When you're like, you know what? It's okay if I don't sleep that much. It'll be okay.
I feel like crap when I don't sleep, Daniel. I feel awful. I got dark circles under my eyes. Like, I'm probably never get rid of these bags under my eyes at this point.
Yep.
I was in you said yes, I probably won't get rid of them.
Oh no, sorry. I didn't mean that. Not at all. I'm just saying, like, you're
like, yeah, buddy, it's over. Well, did you have problems sleeping? Have you ever had trouble sleeping, like where you went through long bouts of it before? Is that what got you interested in the topic?
I definitely have episodes of insomnia where I recognize a lot that I hear from clients and people on YouTube, etc. Like, whereby I know it's like 2 a.m. and I know if I don't sleep well, I'm going to feel like terrible tomorrow. And I know I shouldn't watch the fly. I've gone through that, but I've never had like, weeks or month or anything like that. But I want to say, I think this is really important. Like how, when I said like, you kind of have to be willing to have insomnia, then your mind is fighting back, that part of your brain that wants to keep you safe is fighting back. It goes like, how's that possible? Because if I don't sleep, my skin deteriorates, my muscles, I feel terrible, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, I do.
But you see how as long as you're resisting, as long as you're fighting back like that, it's very hard to get to place where you sleep well. It is only when you get to a point where you're like, okay, it's acceptable to me that I will maybe not sleep much at all tonight, and I will feel really tired tomorrow, or maybe not, or whatever happens to me, I'm okay with it. That is the only time when you really truly will start sleeping better. And by the way, I want to add one more thing there, which is uh, it is super important to try to find evidence that not everything depends on how you sleep. Like if you can find that one day in your memory where you slept pretty good and you felt tired or you felt weak, etc., that is the evidence you need. Like play that up and tell yourself that, okay, everything does not hinge upon how I sleep. That's super important too.
I feel like the harsh reality is that sleep is super, super, super vital to, performing at our best. I feel like when I talk to guests, even, and I had a bad night, I'm serving, I've got 4 tables. I got to get, take out desserts to this table. This table needs more drinks. This table needs this. I'm less sharp. I'm not as good at multitasking when I haven't slept at all. I'm not as good as like working with the customers and really like bantering with them and, being like charming and quick. And I'm definitely not performing at my best when I haven't slept well the night before.
Try really, David, try to challenge that. Try actively, like make yourself look for any evidence that that's not true. That will help you immensely.
I think it is true, Daniel. What am I feel like scientifically, it really there's studies that show you when you don't sleep well, like I've seen people like their memories. It's harder to consolidate memories. That's what happens during REM sleep. Like there's a lot that goes into the brain. Like sleep is such an important, vital part. Like what we put into our bodies, like what we eat and how much we sleep, I feel like are the 2 most important things like a human person can do to improve their state of living, honestly. And I feel like what we put into our bodies and how well we repair our bodies are just like the most important things. And I'm just kind of stuck. And I
totally hear you, David.
Negative Nancy.
Not at all. But do you understand my teaching and my point?
Yes.
So if you would summarize that, what am I trying to say?
You're saying try to focus on, even when I'm not sleeping well, I can still make it through the day and I can still make contributions and I can still perform at a good level, and I'm not putting all this pressure on, I have to sleep well to perform well, because I feel like that's a vicious, like a circular mindset to have. And I agree.
You said it. Like you just literally said it. That's exactly right. Like the more, like, if imagine somebody who thinks that sleep is the most important thing ever. I gotta get sleep. That person is so pressured, they cannot sleep. So you have to go the other way around. And by the way, it can start with this little thing. It could start with that one time you hardly slept and you're like, guess what? I did do this one thing right today. And just that little thing can like start reversing this whole spiral.
All right. There's one more thing I want to get off, Daniel.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like, so you've had people that have, well, what do you think? Should I still follow CBTI technique? Should I still try to start at 6 hours and then try to work my way up, gradually, steadily over time? And if I get into bed and I can't fall asleep within 15, 20 minutes, get out of bed until I'm tired again and then try to go to sleep. These are all things that I've been trying recently, and they have been more effective. It just bums me out because I feel like I've been trying CBTI for like maybe half a year now, about half a year. And it's still not giving me the results of that sleep that I, would really like to have. Like I still have bad nights. And there's friends of mine, like they never have bad nights. So like, yeah, bro, I sleep like 8 hours every day. Sometimes I'll take a nap here and there, and like they don't, and they're like not. and you can't help but like feel jealous of them almost. Like you're like jealous of this person. And I just want to get to that. Like I would trade places with them. You know what I mean? I just really want to, like, what do you think I should still be using my CBTI techniques as well?
You know, a couple of things. First of all, what you describe is super common. I call that sleep envy, and that's not unusual. That's very, very common, David. So that's just one thing. Number two, you know, if you tune into what I've been talking about in the last maybe like 3 months or so, I've really gone from thinking CBTI is great to like, there's some problems with CBTI, to thinking it's actually not good at all. There are a lot of problems with CBTI, and mainly it is that it is CBTI often is portrayed as like, oh, if you just spend really little time in bed and do these things, you'll sleep better. It's again this implied controllability, like you're doing CBTI to try to control your sleep, and that's the problem with CBTI. I think the reason you've seen some improvement is that you have gone somewhat in the direction of trying less, like you spend a little bit less time in bed, etc. That's good, but I think it's much, much better to do something like this. Like you're normally around 8 or 9, so you know, typically be up at 8 or 9. But if you're out with your friends or whatever, like, then allow yourself to sleep in, totally fine. But generally speaking, get up about the same time every morning. And this is just to avoid the following: that when somebody has a lot of trouble sleeping, they often decide, you know what, I can catch up in the morning, and that just reinforces this thing that brain.
Yeah, I did that for a while. I did that a lot.
So common, super common. And then yeah, and hold on one second. And what that does is that when you start thinking, like, you just reinforce what the brain is doing, like, I got to get more sleep. So you sleep in, you catch up. So that's why you shouldn't sleep in. But if it's 8 o'clock and you feel great, like you want to just take a little nap, that's good. But if it's 8 o'clock in the morning and you're like, I got to sleep more, then you should get up. So that's one thing. And
for sure.
The other thing is, like, I think the problem with CBTI is that it's kind of like diets, whereby people say, like, oh, if you lose weight, easy, just only eat carrots for 5 weeks. And then people are like, yeah, that's it, I'm just going to eat carrots for 5 weeks. And then like 3 weeks in,
carrots
like,
are nice.
This doesn't work. You know, they give up. And same thing
I'm
with
kind of
CBTI.
sick of these carrots.
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to spend 5 hours in bed. And then people are like, nah, this doesn't work. So it's much better to be like, just be reasonable. Like, if you are up around 8 or something like that, then, you know, don't sleep at 7 p.m. But, you know, go to bed maybe around midnight or something like that, whenever you feel sleepy. Right. I think that's much, much better. And then at night, this whole stimulus control thing, I think is very problematic. I think just try to make wakefulness your friend. That is my biggest one. Like, when you're up at night, don't fight it. Don't be like, I gotta get sleep. Be like, all right, I'm awake. I'm not going to fight that. I'm going to read a book that I like, or do something. And when wakefulness becomes your friend, you're not afraid of wakefulness, you're okay with it, then you start sleeping much better.
This is very conflicting to what Martin says a lot, because you and Martin are the two main people that I watch and listen to. And Martin's, you know, a big advocate for CBTI. You guys ever butt heads about this now? Respectfully, you don't have to answer this.
No, you know.
Yeah, me and Martin got beat. There's a beef in the insomnia sleep community now. Yeah, you're tearing us apart, Daniel.
I know. It's like David's podcast episode. That's when the rift happened.
No, I've listened to Martin a lot, and Martin will have success stories too of people that'll come on and be like, I did CBTI. I had insomnia for 5, 10, 15 years, and I tried CBTI, and it really worked for me. You just feel like, you know, it's just different for every person. Like, overcoming insomnia, like, different. It's, you know, we're all just different, and different things work for different people.
Yes and no, meaning everybody's story is different. But if you listen to the success stories, people all say the same thing. I stopped worrying. I didn't care as much. I tried less. I let it go. It's the success is always from the same thing. It's always from letting go, no matter what you did. You know, that's
CBTI can just be like a temporary crutch for that until you don't need it anymore.
Kind of, yes. CBTI can work for a lot of people. And by the way, there's a lot of difference. I think people that do like traditional, you know, textbook, you know, academic style CBTI, it's not very good. Martin does. I mean, I sometimes think Martin doesn't do CBTI because he's so advanced, like he understands so much of it. I don't really consider him doing like traditional CBTI, but yeah, I think I have drifted away a little bit from like maybe even Martin's thinking, and I think because I felt like really at the core of it is always about pressure. I think like the more pressured you are to sleep, the less you'll sleep. The more the less pressured you are, the better you will sleep. So yeah, let's put it that way.
I agree. So would you still would suggest though that I try to, if I can't fall asleep in bed, definitely like get up and like until I feel tired again. I feel like that's a good principle. I feel like that's something that can definitely, I don't want to just like lie in bed for like 2 hours staring at the wall. I feel like that's definitely super, super harmful.
Yeah, that's totally true. That's 100% true. If somebody lies in bed for 2 hours staring at the ceiling, like trying to sleep, hoping to sleep, but that's definitely no good. That is no good at all. But that said, like you also, like a lot of people are like, oh, as soon as I wake up at night, I just jump out of bed and then I just wait to be sleepy and then I jump back in bed. That's also no good at all. That's also like you're just trying to sleep. So I think this approach is really good, that when you're awake at night before you go to bed, or when you wake up in the middle of the night or something like that, then first of all, not check the time. Secondly, don't do anything to make yourself sleep. But you can stay in bed. You can stay in bed and just think of something nice. If that makes you feel good, that's great. You can stay in bed and read a book. You can stay in bed and listen to a podcast if you feel good.
Right.
Or you can get out of bed and do something that's enjoyable too. It doesn't really matter.
What do you think the explanation is? What do you think the reasoning is behind? I remember I used to be able to sleep on a couch even, and I could like my ex, for example, sometimes she like fell asleep on the couch and she'd sleep all night on the couch and she'd wake up in the morning and she'd have slept, 7 or 8 hours on the couch. But sometimes I'll fall asleep on the couch too now when I get home from work, and I'll fall asleep, maybe for like 3, maybe 4 hours, but then I'll wake up. Do you feel like that is part of my hyperarousal, or what do you think the explanation is behind that? Because I feel like, like, dang, like I slept not too shabby on that couch just now. I just wish, it was about double the amount of time than it was, and then I felt good.
Yeah, I think there are two explanations there. Like the traditional explanation is the one that's called, conditioned arousal, where if you had a lot of trouble sleeping in your bed, your body's kind of like automatically aroused when you go to bed. So that could play a role. But I think, again, it's even more than that, or maybe it's kind of the same thing in different wording. But the way I think of it is like, when you go to your own bed, you often feel like this is where I'm supposed to sleep. I should sleep here. I want to sleep here. And that pressure makes the opposite happen, versus if you're on a couch, you're more like, this is really not where I typically sleep. If I sleep here or not, it's okay. Like you're not as pressured when you're on the couch.
Right. But why do I wake up why can't I sleep? Why, when I fall asleep, I still wake up in the morning? I feel like that is like to do with, cortisol, or, being really stressed, like being in a light stage of sleep as opposed to a, more slow wave sleep. I feel like why do I wake up? I'll fall asleep on the couch and I'll sleep there for 3 or 4 hours and then I'll wake up. Why do you think that is?
So every human being wakes up many times during sleep, and people that don't have trouble sleeping, that don't think about sleep, not really doing actively to sleep, they just kind of like, they wake up, roll over, fall back to sleep, and they don't remember it, which is very different from somebody who has had trouble sleeping, which is you wake up, which is normal, but then you react to that. You become aware of being awake. You're like, oh no, I'm awake. Oh no, I'm going to have trouble sleeping again. Oh no, that reaction is the quote unquote problem, not the fact that you woke up.
Well, how do you think I get rid of that? What should I start doing to not be hyper aware, to not have that acute awareness of whenever I wake up in the middle of the night? How do I ease that? It's like a monkey on my back. I got to take it.
Totally. And here's the thing, like with using the monkey on the back analogy, it's like, if you're trying to reach back on your back and like grab that monkey and like throw it away, that monkey is going to cling harder and harder and harder to your back. You know, if you go in the direction of being like, I have this monkey on my back, but it's all right. That monkey can stay there as long as it wants. Then the monkey.
Oh no, I don't want that monkey staying out. No, it's a heavy monkey. It's a very heavy monkey, Daniel. I don't want the monkey. I don't want the monkey on my back, Daniel.
I totally hear it. I mean, here's the thing. Like, of course,
You're
like,
you're enlightened. You're so enlightened.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Continue. You're so enlightened. Continue.
No, absolutely. The thing is, like, nobody wants that monkey on their back. And guess what? If you just like, what I say to people that are on the channel or that the clients, etc., is like, you should expect the monkey to be off your back. 100%. It's going to be off your back in time. But the more you're like looking like every night at like, tonight, I got to sleep good tonight, I got to not wake up tonight, the short term, the harder it sticks. So it's again, like, the more you're trying to do something to not wake up, to not react, the worse things get. The more you go to a point of like, if I wake up after 4 hours of sleep, or I wake up in the night, that's okay. I'm just going to read my book. That's okay. I have a plan for that. If you actually are not afraid of waking up, you're like, it's okay to wake up. That's the path.
Okay. I hear you. And then, so like, let's say I wake up, you know, I fall asleep on the couch. I didn't expect to, but I fell asleep on the couch, and, you know, I got my red lamp on, and I wake up and it's 3 or 4 in the morning. Should I just say, hey, well, I'm up now. I might as well just read for a little bit until I'm tired again. And then I'll go back to the couch, or I'll go back to the bed or whatever, and I'll try to sleep a little bit longer there, and just keep doing that over time. I'll be able to sleep all the way through on the couch and not have to worry about having a hyperarousal.
Yeah. The moment your brain is like comfortable with waking up, when it's like, it's okay if I wake up, then you start waking up less and less. You fall back sooner than you thought. And then after a while, you don't even remember waking up, you know.
This is good. This is all very good. You know what I think is a good idea you should do one day? You should try to have several people on who also suffer from insomnia, and then also people that have previously suffered from insomnia but were able to overcome it. And you should try to have a roundtable type discussion, and everybody can sort of like share everything, and, you know, you can kind of like moderate. And I feel like that would be a good idea, because I feel like, you know, I definitely, there's definitely success stories that I've heard where I'm like, man, I really like to talk to them. I really like to hear, you know, more in depth on how they reach this destination. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that idea, man. That was a great one. Like, and I would call that something with hope. Like, you know, I don't know. That we should totally do that. Hey, everybody who hears this episode, let me know if anybody out there, you know, you feel like you're doing really well, you have a success story and want to contribute to this roundtable that David suggests. Like, please let me know. We'll make that happen. One day will happen for sure.
I really appreciate you talking to me, Daniel. What can I expect when I get, if I were to pick up the Effortless Sleep? And what's your book called? Set It and Forget It, correct?
Yep. Set It and Forget It.
What can I think I will get both those books. What can I expect when I read those? What tools will they give me? What knowledge will I take from it?
Honestly, they both say the same thing in different words. You know, Sasha's book is more, she tells her story. She had trouble sleeping a long time, and she tells you the story of how she understood what was going on, and she has these like 10 promises of how to get to a place where you sleep better. And I think it's really good. I think there's a little bit of risk with it, that those promises become like rules again, and you're like, I'm gonna have to do this so I sleep. But knowing that, I think it's a great book. I think it's really, really insightful. And from my book, it's like I've written it so that the first part of it is like answering, like talking about sleep envy and talking about like supplements and melatonin and all this stuff. And so that your first part is like, you understand what's been going on. And then the second part is kind of just tips and reinforcement, but it encourages you to just like let go and sleep better. So I think those are great places to start, you know,
Yeah.
and in my channel, as you know, there's tons of videos that are good. And I want to say, you know, listen from the most recent and backwards. I listen to my old episodes. They're not that great. So the most recent ones are better. But yeah, I think overall, I want to say, David, like, when you completely understand the whole thing, everything we talked about today, like, by the way, listen to
Right.
this episode a couple of times. And when you completely understand it, you'll be in a position where you can just like start to let go and sleep really well. And, you know, how long will
Like
it
the
take?
hindsight
I
of
don't
like looking
know.
back on this.
Yeah, totally. Because we covered a lot today, and a lot of great stuff, by the way. So I think listen to it again, and you'll really pick stuff up.
Would you be willing to? I'm willing to be a part of a discussion with other people who have struggled with my condition as well, and I would look forward to. Well, I'll pick up your book. Can I get it through your site, or should I get it on Amazon, or where can I? Is it
Yeah,
like $30, something like that?
it's Amazon. Amazon is like 23 on Amazon, something like that.
Not too bad. It's not too bad. So I'll get them, and then I would like to, if you'd be willing to, like a month or two from now, I will. We could try to have a conversation again, maybe, and I'll be like, hey, I feel like this, it really helped, But what if it doesn't help, Daniel? What if I'm just a lost cause, buddy? And there's just no. I'm kind of kidding, but also like that would be tragic. Like, what if I called you and I was like, hey, I want to get on your podcast again and tell your audience that your book didn't work. You'd be like, I gotta reschedule, buddy. It's not looking. I'll let you know when I got time free. And then, and then be like,
funny.
and I
Oh my
never
God.
hear from you again.
Here's the thing. Like, whenever people say, I tried to do what you said, Daniel, and it didn't work, then I honestly feel bad, because I feel like I didn't do a good enough job explaining that nothing works if you're looking for it to work. It's like, whenever you do something like, I'm going to do this so I can sleep, that will never work. When you do something like, okay, when I read this book, I'm going to understand more. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to really understand. That's the way, but yeah, I think, we should totally connect again. In fact, what I'm going to do is today, I'm going to set up this like Calendly is called, like, so that I think every Thursday, maybe at 10 a.m. or something like that, I'm going to have one slot for somebody who wants to talk to me. And it's just going to be up to people to like book those slots, and we'll go from there.
I really appreciate you a lot. I didn't want to take up all your time. I feel like we've talked for like an hour. I feel bad. Just like, and it was mostly me rambling. I feel
not at all. Actually, you made total sense, David. And I think, to be honest with you, there's a lot of value in this episode. I think it's gonna really help people. So I want to thank you.
I want to thank you, Daniel. I will definitely pick up you and Sasha's readings, and I will do the best to apply them to my life, and try to really, really come to terms with my sleep and accept wakefulness.
100%. And through this journey, something that I'm going to speak more about that I haven't done a good enough job of is, like, as you go through this, try to just be kind to yourself. If you don't sleep well, don't blame yourself or judge yourself. Just be kind to yourself and just keep going, and you'll do really well.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate it. I will, yeah, I'm actually in the middle of a move. So, I will, when I get back, because I got to go back to Clemson. I'm on the beach right now. So when I get back to Clemson for school, I will, I'll let you know how everything worked out. I'm about to hop on the Amazon app right after this podcast. I really appreciate you for having me on also as well.
Anytime, David, and stay in touch.
All right. You too. Take care, Daniel.
You too. Bye.